What's up, love?
Hello. Hello.
We in here and we getting this on and popping. You got your book. You look beautiful. You got your book.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Let's let's begin. Let's begin because I want to be mindful of everyone.
what's up, love? Hello.
We in here. Hang on 1 second. This
And
is
we getting this up.
hang on.
Oh.
So look at us with a book club.
Uh,
Look at us.
Yay!
Look at us with our first book club, first book of many. And so I want to just be um mindful of time. We're gonna go until 9 p.m., 8 p.m. your time, Denise. Um,
Okay.
just because it's the first class and it was also my like first day of work here in New York. And so I kind of want to like process. I want to process the day. And so yeah, welcome. What's up, Kamisha, baby? Welcome.
Hi, my love.
Hey,
I miss you.
I love you.
I love you more.
Ay, te amo más, like mommy would say, te amo más. So, welcome everyone. We're not going to do intros really because, I want us to get into it. If you haven't read the first chapter, it's okay. We're going to catch up. And so, let me give you the whole spiel of how this is going to go down. So welcome. Welcome to our book club, the Sankofa Book Circle. This is a 5-week book club on this book in particular, our first one, Ocha Dharma, the relationship between Lukumi, an African-based tradition, and Buddhist practice by Cheryl Petty. And there were two things that inspired this book club. The first was as I was reading it on IG Live, I wrote in the margins, I need to fucking have a book club for this book. And Denise, who was in the space, was like, yo, we should have a book club. And so it was divine alignment because we're on the same fucking page. Like, okay, this is not a text that we're meant to just read the concepts and keep it pushing, but really sit with what the author is sharing with us. And in order for us to see how it aligns and how it feels in our bodies. And so this is our book club. I'm holding space for us as a book club, and I'm certainly going to have prompts and questions for discussion to help lead it, but this is ours for us to bring whatever we want to bring into the space. And so the chapters of the book are, let me see, there are 6 chapters. So this week we're covering chapter 1. Our next class is chapter 2. Our third class is chapter 3. Our fourth class is chapter 4. And our fifth class is chapters 5 and 6. Any questions so far? Do you all have the dates for the clubs? I'll get them for you right now, so you have the dates. We're gonna be meeting on Wednesdays. We're gonna be meeting at 8 p.m. And I'm gonna give you los días right now. Okay. So the dates are today, April 2nd. I'm waiting for for my computer to cooperate. April 9th, April 16th, April 23rd, April 30th. So the like format of our book club is setting an intention at the very top. And I'll be posing some questions for our reflection, but also inviting you to bring whatever jumps out to you, whatever you're feeling like you want to discuss in the space. I'm really open to that. Yes. So it's centering ourselves, our discussion, closing reflection. We good so far? Yes? Perfect. All right. So let's dive into this book. So we're reading Ocha Dharma, and I'll read some of the back cover. Ocha Dharma is offered to support expanded awareness of Lukumi and more forms of Buddhism in relation to each other. It hopes to deepen understanding, dispel mythology about both traditions, and provide exposure for those interested in these beautiful systems of practice. By placing Lukumi and Buddhism in dialogue as wisdom traditions, the book supports greater positive visibility of African-based traditions. Ocha Dharma also provides broader access to Buddhism for communities practicing such traditions. This book can strengthen our collective learning, including helping heal structural inequity and increase the positive benefit that people and beings everywhere may experience. And about the author. For nearly 20 years, Cheryl Petty has been a priest in Lukumi and has practiced and trained with non-monastic Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhist communities and in Bon Buddhist Dochen. Her professional work supports the efforts of organizations and communities to heal at individual and social systems levels, unleash joy and creativity, and improve our collective life. See www.movementtapestries.com for more information about Cheryl Petty and their tremendous work. Are we ready? Let's fucking go. Chapter 1, Worldviews, Views of Reality, and Ontology. And so the questions that I brought for today, I'm going to throw in the chat. Chapter 1, Awakening to Dharma. What does Dharma mean to you in your life? 2, how do you recognize when you are living in alignment versus out of alignment with your purpose? The author shares a key moment of awakening. Have you experienced a similar moment? And so let's unmute. Tell me how you're feeling about what you're reading. And we don't have to jump in on these questions yet. Like is there anything that you feel like, yo, chapter 1 said this, and I want to bring this to the floor? Anyone?
I feel like when you were going live with this,
Mhm.
and I don't know if it was from chapter 1 or if it was like from the
Intro?
intro, when you were like talking about the permission and just like that kind of stuff that came up, that stayed with me. But I don't know if that's from chapter 1. Just like
I feel like you're right. So let me see if so it would be Roman numeral 22, 23. And so I'll read that. I'll read the intro. So this book is intended to provide starting points and information for those who are curious and may not have practiced either tradition, those who have practiced one or both traditions to any extent, and those desiring clarification as we continue to journey in life together. This book is focused on what I have experienced as differences in each tradition in terms of one, view, purpose, function, including the intended results of practice. Two, understandings of wisdom beings or deities. And three, practice methods for continued evolution and growth. I follow these with a chapter on four, the relationship between relative forms of difference, such as race, socioeconomics, gender, sexual orientation, etc., and our natural liberation and freedom. This chapter asks, what is the relationship between these embodied forms and the suffering we experience and perpetuate, and the ultimate freedom that is possible and innate for all of us? The final chapter includes a discussion on five, the impacts of long-term unaddressed trauma in spiritual communities, pathways to our collective healing, and how we can support each other with greater clarity. I hope the profound and positive aspects of Lukumi become more visible, available, and accessible to those who are interested. I also hope the profound and positive aspects of Buddhism become clearer to practitioners of Lukumi and other African-based traditions who desire to access these methods of practice. I hope this book promotes a deeper dialogue for those who are interested in exploring more deeply the potential impact and support these traditions may provide for a greater part of the world to thrive, be of service, and create a world that sustains well-being for all, including the natural environment. My deep heart call is that practices from both of these traditions become of benefit to more communities, to alleviate our suffering at the root, at the very source, our fundamental attachment to not realizing our natural enlightenment. I believe this work can be furthered by other practitioners, especially those with significant experience in each system, including lineage holders coming into dialogue and being with one another. And scene, chapter 1. Was that it, Denise?
No, but it's okay. I don't
Okay.
remember which one it was. It was like I've listened to you a few times, so I'm not really sure. It's
So
okay.
let's go to page 2 for chapter 1. The quote by Awo Falokun, Fatumbi, and Ifa priests. Spiritual growth is not a process of learning, it is an experience of remembering. The task of Ifa spiritual discipline is not to learn how to behave, it is to remember who we are. This chapter continues a discussion of outer and inner secret, sacred purposes. So let's start with that. Let's start with number 2. Well, number 1. What does Dharma mean to you in your life? Does someone have a definition of Dharma? Like, what is Dharma? What is your understanding of Dharma? I can give it if
Isn't it like your destiny? I don't know if I'm doing it. I'm looking it up now.
destiny. It's your destiny. In the dictionary in the Oxford, then it's a noun. In Indian religion, it's the external and inherent nature of reality, regarded as the cosmic law underlying right behavior and social order. In Buddhism, it's the nature of reality regarded as universal truth taught by the Buddha. It is the teaching of Buddhism. And so let's go with that. Yes. What does Dharma mean to you in your life? If we're holding that definition of a universal truth, what is that? What is our universal? What is your universal truth? It's a big question for 8:25 p.m. Book club family. Little light.
I would say Dharma for me in my life right now, present moment, would be showing up more for me. I think community is needed for world views a lot too, like of navigation of different point of views from the community to support each other. Some real heavy times.
Mhm.
Understanding is definitely needed. Research of reading. So this book club is really interesting that it came at this time. But for me, it's more of pouring into myself as far as health wise, and I'm starting to like shed the old part of me coming into 40.
Okay.
So I think it's like, I don't know, like I can't really put it into words, but it's like stepping out of that old me and becoming the student again
Mhm.
from others,
Mhm.
because transformation into the new is different. And sometimes you may need those have that experience difference. So I don't know. I think that's what it is for me at this moment.
Anyone else? Dharma, awakening to Dharma.
I do want to share something. Like for me, I remember because I'm in my 30s right now, and I remember in high school, I was very interested in Buddhism because their concept was really understanding how to reach enlightenment, reaching a point in your life where you're not attached to material things in this world that we're in right now. And that's something that I struggle with to this day is being very, especially with childhood trauma, is being very attached to things that I would feel is scarce. There's scarcity in that sense where I feel like I have to grab onto it and become attached to that thing. And I'm trying to figure out how to be less attached to certain things and more aware of what internally makes me happy so that I'm not as attached to external things. And so part of that is just trying to figure out how to function in life where, I'm aware of how I interact with people or how I go about doing something that impacts how I feel and are very much in alignment with my values. Is just understanding what that means. What are my values? How do I identify that? And then how can I use that as a way to be more internally aware of my own happiness and not have to rely so much on external forces. But that's essentially what I view as Dharma in my life is trying to figure out how to reach that particular um, feeling of, I guess, internal enlightenment, if you will, that I'm not so dependent on external forces.
Love that. What I love about this first chapter is that Cheryl Petty introduces us to this concept of yanas and vehicles and ways to spiritual practice, ways to both of these systems, like an entry point. And she focuses a lot, like real heavy on readiness and preparedness, right? And so like in these first chapters, like these first pages of this chapter, like even that page 3, that paragraph where she says, where she writes, practice in Lukumi is focused on alignment with our highest destiny or potential, spiritual balance and elevation. And then she goes on, and then she talks about um practicing, right? Coming to this practice. And so as you think about these questions that when we're using Dharma, but it's also our in Lukumi, our Ori, right? Like we're born with our Ori, which is an Odisha, right? Very connected to our destiny. And so when we're looking at these questions, I love what shared about being in alignment and connecting it to values. So when we think about it's a big question, like this idea of truth. What is our truth? because we've been conditioned to believe other people's truths. And so this is a wonderful opportunity, especially in reading this text, to decide for ourselves what that is. You know, whether it's Buddhism, it's the path to Buddhism or the path to through Lukumi, you know, what does that look like? What is that alignment? Does someone want to say anything or add anything?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what came up for me, that like my dharma right now, and I guess, you know, hearing everyone say like their age and the different, like where you are in a different stage in life. I'm in my late 50s. So I'm kind of living my purpose. You know, I live my values. Like integrity is everything to me. Like I being honest, being around honest people, like it matters more than anything to me. It's no longer about material things, and returning exactly what I receive from people. Like if someone is not feeling me, then I'm not for you. I keep moving. I avoid you. Like if I have to work in the same office with you, like I'll tolerate you, I'll be cordial, but I ain't trying to even look at you in the eye. Like I meet people exactly where they're at right now, and I don't give them any energy that they don't return to me in kindness. And I think I move generally in kindness, but if someone gives me the stink eye, I'm out, yo. like like you don't even exist. And I've learned to own my choices. You know, like that has stopped me from complaining, because that's part of like living in my purpose. Like I have to accept that my choices have actions, and everything I'm living is a result of my choices. I can't blame anybody anymore. Like this is it. I ain't got the line of people to blame ran out. So it's all on me. So it's that's my dharma, living my purpose and accountable to myself, being kind, honest, and meeting people where they're at, like not trying to please the world or offend the world, just kind of, I just want to live.
I love that. You know, in the text, she introduces the concept of Ashe, which is very similar to Dharma, right? Ashe being our blessings, right? When I think about that, and this is why we're having this book club, because one of the things that I'm always thinking about is what brings us to any tradition or any practice. What called us, right? What brought us to the religion, to Lukumi? What brought us to Buddhism? You know, what is it about? What is it about these systems that we're hoping to gain something from it? There is something that we're hoping to receive, right? And there there are these charts in here, like page 15, like the goals, the summary of the yanas and the base and goals, the fruit, where, you know, for shamanism, it's peace and elevation and clarity and prosperity and cleansing and protection and being of service. It's development of spiritual capacities, clairvoyance, clairsentience, premonition. Like there is a reason, there is something that brought us to a thing, you know. What do you think about that reflection? What are y'all feeling? Tell me something. How we doing?
I have to get the book
That's cool.
so I can really get into it and catch up.
So
Straight up, mine just arrived in the mail, so I haven't read any of it. I gotta
Oh,
catch
okay.
up.
I'm not
so
alone.
let me read this to you. Let me read this to you. in Lukumi, we have a term, iwapele, like right living, right? Right living. And in Buddhism, the author is sharing a list of like shamanism, sutra, tantra, dochen, right? Different teachings within Buddhism. And the motivation, right? The motivation behind either practicing shamanism or the motivation behind practicing lukumi. Let's use those two. And so the motivation of shamanism is this desire for one's own liberation and the protection of loved ones. Reality is relatively solid and can be improved or fixed. And then the focus, the goals, the reasons, it's our reason why, it's our why, is peace, clairvoyance, elevation, clarity, prosperity, right? Protection, healing. And then in sutra, it's the desire for one's own liberation, enlightenment. And then for the goals, it's clearing the obscurations, clearing the obstacles, cultivating the paramitas, positive qualities. And so if we use lukumi, it's, right living. Right living. Let me look.
That's exactly what I was thinking when I was thinking, especially about Dharma. What came up for me right away was right relationship. That's what I thought. I was like, okay, it's right relationship. It's about having right relationship, reciprocal right relationship with not just yourself, but with the land, with the people, with, your family, with your community. And then thinking about what you asked about in terms of like what makes you go to certain practices. And I think for me, it's also wanting to be clear on my purpose and path and making sure that I'm being guided, so guided in a way that's outside of my own self sometimes, and my own self-sabotage or my own ego, sometimes you just need that spiritual guide. And so both of these systems have actually supported me in different parts of my life to figure that out, or to reflect on it, or to, consider something else, or to shift my perspective, or to get closer to spirit and get closer to my ancestors. So yeah. I don't know if I answered it, but
You did. Like Iwapele is gentle character, right? Good character. It's what we seek first. Like, what are the things that make us a good human? Like, why is it that we're practicing a thing? Many people, I mean, I can't speak for everyone who practices lukumi, la regla de ocha, but for me personally, it was very much connected to my growth and evolution, my spiritual growth and evolution. It was for protection and my health, to be able to protect my family, to have a deeper connection to Egun, to my ancestors, right? To do that work with them in a deeper way, and also have a beautiful relationship with the Orisha, with all of, the Orisha that walk with me. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, bottom line here is that, like, how do these practices aid us in being better humans? And the truth of the matter is that we know that there are people who practice these traditions who are not, they're not right, right? They move funny, they move weird, and I'm being kind, right? Because you know what I want to say about these people, you know. But these practices are for us, right? This is a question that I have in here. In what ways, because this is the interesting thing. The reason we're reading this is because I don't know about you, but it is the first time that I'm seeing Buddhism and Lukumi together, married, right? And so that is really special to me because how I come to Buddhism is, listen, how I come to Buddhism is trying to find peace so I don't fuck somebody up. That's one. That's the first thing. That's how I come to Buddhism. Like, how am I gonna, I need some meditation, I need some stillness, I need some, what Em was talking about, like releasing attachment to things, like all of these things. I've been there, and Buddhism has gifted me that for sure. And Lukumi has given me something else. There's a groundedness, that a different strength, right? So in what ways can integrating practices from both traditions enhance our personal spiritual journeys? That's for the group. Talk to me.
Repeat that again.
The question is, in what ways can integrating both practices, Lukumi and Buddhism, both these traditions, in what ways does integrating these practices enhance our personal spiritual journeys?
For me, it's making sure that, like we were saying in the chat, like I don't smack somebody, I don't like go off on someone. It's like to find my own peace because I know that there's a lot of things that are coming up that are going to literally disturb my peace. Like my job is disturbing the peace. So I really need to be centered. It's important for me to like figure out how to do that outside of my quote unquote coping mechanism. But I really need like a solid foundation.
I love that. Someone else?
What's come up for me is like just dealing with a lot of ancestral and trauma and like family trauma that I inherited and didn't realize I inherited, and like just learning how to break through that stuff peacefully and not auto destruct, not destruct myself with, just getting through everything. And I feel like until I started practicing, especially Lukumi, I did not have peace. I was just very I had a lot of unease in my life, and just learning to clear energy and clean my space and tend to my dead and know that I'm not alone, because I feel like a lot of times when you feel overwhelmed, you forget that you're not alone. And I think that's been the biggest lesson that I've gotten from Lukumi, that I'm never alone. And I think that's what's helped me become a more peaceful person. And then the Buddhism, just integrating the respect for nature with the essence of nature that is Lukumi, is just like I could just live in nature and not talk to a human being for the rest of my life. So I find
Feel you.
that's where those two can take you. A beautiful place.
Mhm. Thank you. Someone else? This chapter is really beautiful in that it sets us up, because where she takes us is really powerful. I've found myself getting very lightheaded during the reading. The concepts that she's introducing, also very triggered. There are some spaces that I'm feeling around community, around spiritual community, about religious houses and iles, and sort of the violence and abuse and corruption, the abuse of power in a lot of these systems. When you enter these traditions, whether it's Buddhism or whether it's Lukumi, you know, all of us are coming to these spaces, relying on elders to teach us something, right? In hopes that these are people, I was gonna say these motherfuckers are motherfuckers with integrity, you know? And like, there's just no nice way to say that shit. Like, you assume that they are moving in Iwapele, like good character, but they're shady as fuck, right? And so they've used their gifts, they've received things. There's certain, it makes me want to cry out of anger, not sentimentality or emotion, like makes me want to punch somebody in the face. This abuse of that power, like we're coming to you, it's so, like she opens with suffering, right? We're coming to you with suffering and healing in hopes that you are going to direct us, right? You're going to guide us and be a way shower, right? Like this idea of like wisdom beings and these teachers and these, and there's a lot of concepts that are just, I really urge you, like for our next meeting, to really highlight things and bring the words that like really resonate for you personally. Like, yo, Alicia, she fucked me up when she wrote this, and this. That way, I don't want to be the only one bringing concepts. I want us to feel like, yo, this is what resonates for me. Um, because there's a lot in this first chapter that's just setting us up for understanding why it is that we're drawn to both these practices, which is why we're having this book club, because there's something really beautiful about merging both and understanding how we can use this medicine. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
So there's a section on page 20. On page 20, no, I'm gonna go to 19. I want to start with attachment, bottom of the page. So, no, I'm gonna start with the three poisons. Fuck it, let's go to the top. Three poisons, how we can get trapped, and I'll jump around. I'll just read all the things that I highlight, that I underlined. So, three poisons, how we can get trapped. Buddhism speaks about the three poisons, which are aversion, aggression, attachment, grasping, and ignorance. Buddhism also talks about the 8 worldly concerns or worldly dharmas, which are various forms of grasping and aversion, namely hope for or and fear of each of the following, respectively: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, praise and blame, and fame and obscurity. Jump down to aversion. Aversion aggression is the most obvious one. It refers to the things we do not like, the things that irk us or turn us off. This can be extreme aversion, up to and including hatred, or more subtle forms of aversion, such as cringing or pulling away and being repulsed, but outwardly controlling it. Or it can be internal recoiling, the potency of the sensation of our attachment to that aversion is how much we coddle, commit ourselves to, defend, fight for, and feel justified in that aversion and aggression matters and determines its potency, the degree to which we are in its grasp. Attachment or grasping, also obvious, but more subtle, difficult to identify. We tend to believe it's good to attach to positive things. However, these can also be traps. Jump to page 20. This more subtle poison can be when we are thinking obsessively about something, be it work, a loved one, a situation, a constant worry, or when our attention to this thing goes beyond appropriate attentiveness and turns into fixation and a gnawing, nagging anxiety or a clinging desperation. Jump down to ignorance or indifference is the hardest to recognize and is the most subtle. The word ignorance sometimes presents a problem. Ignorance is used to refer to dullness, generalized anxiety, anxiousness, inability to simply relax and rest, in the present moment, boredom, confusion, fear, and terror, overwhelm, and spaciness. It also refers to lack of awareness, as awareness is used in Buddhism, awareness of the nature of reality and the natural, open, clear, and free state of ourselves and all things. Jump a line, we would no longer be grasping and clinging onto ideas, notions, concepts, thoughts, desires, hopes, wishes, fears, anxieties, aversions, and dislikes, identities, etc. We would be open and present to the moment as it presents itself and fully present to whatever may arise. Let's jump to page 21. Unlike grasping, passion can be useful and enjoyable when appropriately engaged. Any emotion, thought, sensation, action, or experience can be used to or engaged as an intoxicant. That is something that keeps us from being fully present. Or on the other hand, any thought, emotion, sensation, action, or experience when engaged from a present, open state of awareness without clinging on to it can also be a doorway to ultimate freedom. This is the function of practice in Buddhism and how some Lukumi practitioners also engage in practice. And I want to last reflection tonight is this idea of this doorway to freedom. Like, ain't we trying to get free though? Ain't that the motherfucking cheers, mi ahijada? Cheers. Like, ain't that the point? Tell me how that feels in your body, what you just heard.
The poison stuck with me. I feel like I think that goes back to what I'm saying about shedding and like I'm really trying to like get into this fasting and just poison that's, toxic from what we eat, what we listen to, what we see, what we read. Everything is fake, is so uplifted now. Like authenticity is scarce. So the poison ones really that really sat with me. So I'm thinking about those three and see how it fits in my life.
Kamisha, this first chapter talks a lot about our inner and outer world. There are two places, two spaces we're constantly navigating. Like, I really wish I could fucking live in my inner world because it's beautiful in there. That shit is a motherfucking paradise.
Right.
Where there's no white supremacy, no sexism, no transphobia, no homophobia, there's no machismo. It's a fucking paradise, dead ass Caribbean sunshine beaches. And then the outer world is violent. And so the invitation for us in this, in what we're reading and whatever we practice, is how can we integrate these things? How can we marry? I don't have a fucking answer, family. Like, how do we integrate these teachings? How do I bring Iwapele? Like, I've been using the language Ogun mind, or Batala mind, or Shun mind, like when I'm dealing with a certain thing. How can I have, an Obatala mind in this experience? How can I have, like, what do I need outwardly? Because inward, I'm good. I'm good money most of the time, right? And so that's the invite for us, right? Tell me, tell me how you're feeling. Tell me how you're feeling, because I want to be mindful of the time. This was our first. We'll get the hang of it. And imagine if we were just talking about like the whole book. I just don't feel like we would do this book justice if we just had like one meeting to talk about this book. Like, I feel like it would be a 10-hour fucking session. Like,
Yeah, no.
no.
No. It's a lot that needs to be. I didn't even get the book. and it's a lot, it seems like, to be
Exactly.
broken down.
It needs to be broken down. And Kamisha, like run it back, like, read both chapters, read 1 and 2, highlight, meditate, sit with, read it slow. I want to hear from everyone. Like, from our first gathering, what are you feeling? What are you taking with you? Tell me, talk to me. I would love to hear from everyone. Like, what are you taking away from this first initial conversation that's really, really an initial, like, it's a start. We have so much to talk about. Talk to me.
I wanna say something real quick about the three poisons because that really love the way that it was articulated because I mean there's a lot of different things that can prevent us from, for example, reaching enlightenment, attachment, anger are the few examples that you mentioned. And what I find really fascinating that this book is diving into is that you have these two different spiritual practices that can be integrated in different ways so that you can overcome these poisons and counteract it with these different practices that would help you reach that pathway that you're getting to that you want to. Like, for example, with Buddhism, they call it, what is it, the Eightfold Path that helps us counteract these poisons so that you can reach enlightenment. And so for her to explore these two different religions in one book is really exciting because when you go to the bookstore, for example, you see a bunch of different individual books about one topic and goes into this whole information about this particular thing, but she is combining two different things. And that's just, there's something that just came through my mind as you were talking about three poisons and then these two different practices. But yeah, that's my takeaway for that particular thing.
Thank you. Someone else? No pressure, fam. It's our first gathering. We're gonna be gentle. I'm so excited about this journey. It's only getting better. I'm in chapter 3. And it's like really making me uncomfortable in the most beautiful ways because it's things that I'm like, oh, this makes sense. And also things that I'm feeling like I need to meditate on and pray on and incorporate because I'm bitter too about, Lukumi. I am. I have some shit, you know. Next week we're going to be entering chapter 2, which is about wisdom beings and deities and their forces. So I invite you to like really sit with that. Really sit with that. And if I have a chance, let's see how my schedule. And it's funny because chapter 2 is a short chapter. It's a short chapter, but fucking powerful. So if I have time to like type my notes from the book, I'll send it out so you can see what I'm thinking about and then, bring whatever you're gonna bring to our session. Tell me how you're feeling. This was our first, it's already 9. The title is, can someone type it? It's Ocha Dharma, the relationship between Lukumi, an African-based tradition and Buddhist practice by Cheryl Petty. We're gonna close. It's 9 o'clock. We're gonna meet next week. Um, and let's ground for a moment. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. If it's not, that's fine. And let's take some deep breaths. Let's inhale. Let's exhale. Let's inhale. Exhale. Last breath, inhale and hold it. Exhale big. Creator, thank you for this book club, for this gathering, for the people that showed up today to gather and be in our own like little sangha, our own little book club ile. May we receive the medicine that we need for this next part, for this next chapter. May we feel supported and held. May we begin to learn how to integrate the teachings of whatever text our eyes touch, our hands touch, or our ears touch. May we be surrounded by our wisdom beings, or wisdom beings that are incredibly loving and gentle and protective of us all the time. May we continue to get closer to our Orisha or our Buddhist teachers. And I look very forward to hanging with y'all next time. We feeling good?
Thank you,
Yes.
Alicia. My wheels are turning. I feel like I have so much in my head, but I'm still trying to process
Process,
thank you.
right? Reach out to me. We're building this together. You know, we're building, this is our community, this is our space. And so I'm really grateful that you all showed up tonight. Let's get some good rest. Let's eat some good food. And I'll see you all next Wednesday.
Yes. Thank you.
Same
Thank
bad time,
you.
same bad channel.
I got the book in my cart already.
Let's go.
Wait,
Biggie,
so it's gonna be the same link every week?
we
Same
can
Zoom link?
use the same Zoom link. Keep it
I
cute.
think is that will it let you? Yeah, right?
We'll see. We'll see next week.
Okay.
If your shit don't work, I'll send one out quick.
All
Okay.
right. Everyone have a good night.
Good
Good night,
night.
everyone. Be well. Bye.